makes me curious how a simple letter can make you question your self-worth, how beneficial you are to society, and how you should see yourself. But who doesn't love a good A grade contributing to your 4.0? Even that isn't sacred with how anything lower makes you feel like you're not doing your best. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like this. Many students are put on a pedestal that to get into college, you need to be the next Steve Jobs. Let's present some examples of who this education system has not been kind to. So we have Jenny here to give her 2 cents, or possibly more, depends on how greedy we're feeling, on the education system in America. Jenny, what is your name, Jenny?
My name is Jenny, of course.
And how are you affiliated with the school system?
Well, I am a student here at San Leandro High School.
Very nice. What issues do you see in the current education system in America?
Well, I think that having one teacher teach a whole classroom of students, like 30 people at once, who are all very different and have different learning styles, tends to be a problem. And you can't really cater, or like you can't really get, a great depth of knowledge because each person is left to their own devices as the degree in which they take in information isn't going to be very deep since it's only a surface level understanding of the content when somebody preaches to you.
Okay. Why do you think stuff like that came to be?
Well, probably just habit. Like, people thought people were put into roles as teachers, and then they just assumed their job as imparting knowledge onto students and kind of naturally assumed that there wouldn't be input at first. So then that relationship would continue on until, teachers realized they actually needed input from the students and that it had to be more of a collaborative effort rather than just one person talking on and on about stuff and somebody listening.
Okay. What things do you think the school system does well right now?
I like that the school system exposes us to a variety of subjects. Like, you do learn your curriculars, which are English, math, there's science, and then there's history, and then we go into even broader subjects like art, maybe even the trades, career-based courses. I think that gives each student a chance to try out different things they want and maybe even learn how they learn, because then the curriculars kind of focus a lot on that kind of preaching style or of teaching where they just lecture on and on, whereas career-based courses tend to be more hands-on, which may actually be more beneficial for students as some of them have never tried that style of learning before.
Okay, and say you were in charge of the entire American school system, what changes would you make?
I think I would want, the system to be even more collaborative. I think I would leave the students a lot of opportunities to learn themselves. I would make them take the notes because that's how you learn best. You glean the information yourself rather than have somebody tell you. Because then it goes in through one ear and comes out the other. It doesn't always stick. So I think I would have more of that, where the students take the initiative to learn. And then the teachers are there to back them up, essentially, and supplement what they've learned and answer any questions, guide them in a direction that they need to be.
Okay. Last question. Do you think the school system has degraded or improved over the span of its existence?
Well, it definitely has improved. It's not perfect, but I guess a pretty easy example would be gender. Both genders are now, it's normal to have both in the classroom, all types actually. Yeah, that's an example, and just the way people teach. It's not set in stone. It's not there's no physical punishments anymore. You're not forced to learn. You just are there, and you can negotiate with the teacher on how you learn, and you can ask them questions. You can push back, you know, or like you can ask for more assistance if you need to.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
What is your name, Aiden, and how are you affiliated with the school system?
Well, my name's Aiden, and I'm a junior here at SLHS, have been for 3 years.
Okay. What issues do you see in the current education system in America?
3 big ones. Teachers are paid too little. Students who desperately need help but don't have the courage to speak up about it don't receive the help they need. It's like if you have a low understanding of, say, history, but you don't ask for help or tell anyone about it, then the teacher doesn't know that you need help. They never help you, and you do poorly on tests until eventually, like at the last week of the school year, teacher asks, "Hey, why didn't you do well on so-and-so tests?" "Well, because I didn't understand it." "Why didn't you ask for help?" Was too scared, and it's too late to help. And also, 3, teachers don't ask for pronouns. I think they should. I was talking with some people in Club Rainbow earlier this week, and they were discussing how in certain classes they felt really uncomfortable because the teacher had not asked for their pronouns at the beginning of a school year or their preferred name, and they didn't, have the courage to speak up about it. And it was really negatively affecting them. They weren't in a good mental state because of that. Yeah.
And why do you think this came to be?
Teachers, one, because they appear to be, a lot of them, they're seen as kind of like a resource rather than people, especially by both parents and, some schools, because, one teacher for every subject, so you've got like a normal schedule, that's about 6 teachers, so it seems like there's a lot of them, right, when there's not. But the parents treat them like that, and the other teachers treat them like that, or at least the faculty, I don't know, maybe. And they get seen as not worth much. For students who need help, too many kids per teacher. I think classes should be smaller to help, get more attention to specific students and not just one teacher talking to 30 people. And for pronouns, people see it as like a big thing or like an unnecessary thing to ask beforehand for preferred name and pronouns. I remember Mr. Ramirez did that in my sophomore year of honors history, and I really appreciated it at that point because there were a lot of people who, were not cis, and I noticed they looked very happy like being asked about it. But mostly because it seems like an inconvenience to the teacher from their perspective, and they think like, oh, you know what, it doesn't matter that much. It's not going to negatively affect them when it really does.
Okay. And last question, has the school system degraded or improved over the time of its existence?
It's gotten better. It's not great, but it's better than it was. There's more equity than there was before. People are treated equally for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, so we brought in Mr. Lucero here to talk about some things with the public education system in America. Mr. Lucero, what is your name, Mr. Lucero?
Sam, or Samuel Andres Lucero Hidalgo de Gaulle, the 4th.
Alright. How are you affiliated with the school system?
I went to this school, class of 1995, and then I started working here in 2001.
Okay. What issues do you see in the current education system in America?
The current education system in America produces good workers instead of good thinkers, and it's malnourished. It's unsupported, unfunded, and trivialized. It creates people who are desperate for points, people who dog paddle through education to try to reach a summative grade.
Okay. Why do you think stuff like that came to be?
We exist within a hyper-capitalism where people feel like they need access to higher paying jobs because minimum wage doesn't pay enough. And in order to get access within this capitalism, you need to get into college or have a brilliant plan.
Alright. How do you think the school system benefits people now?
I think the school system benefits people by housing their young within these buildings.
Okay. Say theoretically you were the almighty dictator of the American school system. What changes would you make?
I would abolish grades. I would create way more schools within the community, and I would make sure that they are partnered with local colleges. I would establish a portfolio system where students are able to show their work and showcase their abilities. There would be a mentor program with similar to ROP, but something that is going to be on site. And I would have, yeah, but that's for starters. That's for starters. And then I'd lower class sizes.
Okay. And last question, has the school system degraded or improved over the time of its existence?
Well, that depends, because it was established during the Industrial Revolution, so it's built to function as a factory. It's gotten better, but what you've just gone through has done generational damage to your ability to figure out how to stretch your abilities. How you figuring out what. Well, let me think about this. It's done generational damage in your perception of how to stretch your abilities. And I find that many students don't take school seriously, and didn't before the pandemic, but after 18 months of farting on a keyboard and getting an A because of it, students are unequipped to be influential with language, to try and work with math, to figure out how the universe runs. Most of the kids in my classroom are working for me. In this American education, they seem to perceive me as a boss, and I'm going to represent future bosses instead of working for them. In this, they figured this is going to be a factory instead of an incubator, preparing them for the real world. And that's what they truly fail, is because the students truly fail themselves when they try to pass a class cheating, dog paddling, trying to go after the minimum. It's not my grade that fails them, because the tests are usually out there post-bell. What happens is students get stuck. You see it and I see it. Students get stuck in and around San Leandro because they're ill-equipped to take the next leap in whatever the development is after high school. They've been told that they're good enough through grades, but then again, their skill sets doesn't equate to success in the real world.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, no problem.
These points of views make you understand things a little better. How things cater more to people of the majority and not the minority, who can't handle or manage specific aspects of school, such as homework.